And then what he does is, he says, fine, now let me jump. And then Hanuman jumps all the way from here across the sea and lands in Sri Lanka in a garden called Ashok Vatika. Look at that. That is Ashok Vatika garden. And then this is where Hanuman lands. And he lands there straight. And who does he find? Sita. Sita is sitting here. And he gives her that ring and she says, oh, finally, yes, I recognize this one. I believe Rama has sent you. And Hanuman says, okay, can you, I'll take you back to India because they are in Sri Lanka island. That's why there's water here. This is a palace. Within that there's this garden. You see the peacock feathers over here, real ones as well. And then there are fruits and it's a nice place. They say it was a very pretty place. But then Sita is sitting there. She's not peacefully sitting there. There are two Rakshasis guarding, Trijata and another Rakshasi. And they're looking after her. Anyway, Hanumanta says, okay, that's fine. If you don't want to join me, that's okay. I'll pass the message back to Rama. But because I jumped across the sea, I'm really hungry. I'll just eat some fruits here and I'll spend some time. So what Hanuman does is he just eats some fruits, he jumps around, he jumps from this to that, he goes everywhere, and then he creates a big mess. And once he does that, the palace guards, this is Ravana's palace, by the way. This whole kingdom belongs to Ravana. And he's gone straight to Ravana's kingdom and he's fooling around here. So the palace guards try to catch him. But Hanuman is very strong, very, very strong. He just fights them. And then the palace guards bring their boss, their next official. They also come. Many people come and fight Hanuman and keep dying. One of them is Ravana's own son. One of the sons fights him and dies in this. So it gets very embarrassing that even the king's, the most powerful man in Sri Lanka, his son died. So that became really embarrassing. And then Ravana sends his another son called Meghnad. And he sends Meghnad and says, you go there, Indrajit, and you say, you go and help me. And then that guy comes and fires the Brahmastra, very powerful weapon, the most powerful weapon, Brahmastra. And then Hanuman looks at the Brahmastra and says, okay, you know what, I can fight everybody else, but this one I will not resist. I will not fight. So he says, okay, catch me. And that Brahmastra turns into a rope, it ties around him, captures him, and then he says, okay, fine, take me to wherever you want to take me. And where are we? We are in Sri Lanka. So this is in Sinhala language, Sri Lanka. So that's where we are. And then they take him and arrest him and put him in front of, look at that, that is Ravana. Ravana, the king, is sitting there with his 10 heads. How many negative qualities can you think of? Think of some negative quality. Greed, being selfish, being arrogant. Any other negative qualities you can think of? So think of 10 different negative qualities. Each of those heads stands for one negative quality. That's how negative he was. He had 10 heads. But still, he had many negative qualities. He was very arrogant as well. So this is in his darbar, in his court. Everyone is here. All these people are there. And then his son says, I have caught this monkey who was embarrassed us and fought us and irritated us. And then this monkey is Hanuman. And they say his palace was made from gold and all of that. But anyway, so Hanuman comes here. And he meets Ravana, and then Ravana says, "How dare you ruin my garden?" And then Hanuman says, "Yeah, but none of your people could do anything to me." And then they keep arguing and fighting in between. They just keep arguing. And then Hanuman says, "I don't even have a place to sit. Can you give me a place to sit?" And Ravana says, "You have destroyed all this. You have caused so much embarrassment to us. Why do you think I'll give you a place to sit? We have arrested you." So Hanuman says, "Okay, never mind. I'll make my own seat." And look what he did. He just grew his tail and made it so long that he coiled his tail like this and he made it into his own seat. Oh, look at that. He made it his own seat and then he sat on his tail like this. And just to irritate Ravana, he sat higher than Ravana. See, his eye level is higher than Ravana's eye level. And that's the most powerful man in Sri Lanka, and then Hanuman is sitting at a height higher than him. That irritated Ravana so much. He said, "How dare he sit on this, grow this tail and all of this, and he sit higher than me? Look at his head level is higher than me. Burn down his tail." So he orders for the tail to be burnt, and then they put fire to that, and somebody gives an idea. You put oil to the tail, and then they put fire, light it up. And what does Hanuman do? He says, "I'll show you what I can do." And he escapes from there. Remember, he's very powerful, very strong. He jumps over there and he jumps onto the palace and then onto the next house and building, and then he jumps from one road to another road, and everywhere he's jumped, that building is under fire. Right? So he basically burns down the whole city. This city was supposed to be one of the prettiest cities of the time, but he burns it down. And then finally he goes, dips the tail in the water, and then he jumps back all the way from Sri Lanka. You see, Sri Lanka, all the way from Sri Lanka back to India, and he meets Rama. And he meets Rama and says, "I know where Sita is, and I can help you find her." And Rama is so happy. When he hears that news, he said, "Well done, Hanumanta, you've done really well. Thank you very much."